Welcome to the Black Sheep and Bad Apples. This episode is a Freaky Friday episode. I, your normal host, am acting as co-host tonight. I'm Loren O'Brien, and we are here with our resident storyteller, Mr. Joe.
Howdy, howdy.
And our intern, Mr. Ron Baca.
Hi guys. Hey.
And then, since it's Freaky Friday, I introduce you to tonight's host, Shawn Hill.
Oh, wait. Shit. No, it's...
No, yeah, you're
Oh,
the...
yeah.
Now you have to do work.
You're the...
Oh, man. So how's everybody doing? Thank you once again for joining us in Fourth Corner Studios to record a podcast. We took a little bit of time off last week for the holidays. How was, real quick here, we'll start with you, Ron. How was your holiday? How was your Turkey Day, Thanksgiving? What do you go by?
Yeah, Thanksgiving, I think. Yeah. So it was okay, though. Me and the lady were pretty much hermits.
Did you give and thank?
We gave stuff. I mean, we
That's
were
gross.
alone. We were alone, so.
So you
gross.
didn't
And
really contribute to anything.
One of
You
us
don't
was
have-
thankful. So, I mean.
So
you
she
were
didn't
thankful
come.
that she... So let me get it straight. You were thankful she cooked a bunch of food so you guys could eat together and hang out? Is that...
Yeah, it's
What
pretty
a
much-
luxury just to, like, eat,
So
get
she
fat, and
gave,
then
you
fuck.
thanked. It works out.
Okay, keep it PG, kids.
It's not a PG podcast. Well, I don't mean to speak for the host either, but I don't think
No,
it's a
I
PG podcast.
I meant she cooked and
But
you
yeah,
ate
it was
the food
wonderful.
that-
I got the one thing that I wait for every Thanksgiving: spinach dip.
You know, you can
Weird.
actually have spinach dip outside of Thanksgiving.
No, I wait. Fuck that shit. It's festive. It's
It's kinda
tradition
like
for
corn-
me.
Bro,
It's
what
kinda
about that? What about that artichoke jalapeno dip that they make?
Well, that's not spinach dip.
Well, I mean, it's very similar.
It's kind of like corned beef. I don't eat that all year except for on St. Patrick's Day.
I do like having it
specifically.
once a year for
And I really like it. I like to eat a lot more, but I don't want to ruin it. So I'm kind of like, it's going to be that day. Is this your kiddo's first Thanksgiving?
Second.
Second.
Second? Wait,
She was
when's
born
first?
last July. What was it? 18th?
June.
June 18th.
Yeah, June.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so
so
it's her second tea day.
Yeah, it would be.
So how did she like the table of food? Was she more into it this year?
Did she get as fat as
so
you?
the first one, she wasn't eating solids food, so yeah,
That's-
she enjoyed this one more. She threw a lot more mashed potatoes on the fucking
Yeah.
ground.
Did she
than,
get as fat as you?
No, she's likes to keep it fit. She's still running around quite a bit, you know.
yeah. I forgot she works out pretty much
Well,
daily.
that's,
Well,
Just
yeah.
swole.
When walking
Swole.
stew, you run everywhere, you know.
well, that sounds like a pretty good turkey day.
Yeah, it
My
was
Thanksgiving
enjoyable.
was slightly shittier.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, and for the record, I love my family, so I'm gonna preface by saying that. But like, my mom decided, and it's my mom and my brother and my sister and my other brother, but that's pretty much the whole family. And so we all used to gather around the matriarch, my mom, and she decided this year that she was gonna go with her boyfriend down to Arizona for Thanksgiving with her new boyfriend's family, which I'm more than supportive of. But it was really weird because she was like, "Yeah, here you can come stay in my house," which was like a house that I lived in before. So that's a layer of weird on top of it already. So there's a bunch of memories on top of this of just staying there. But then also like she left me a bunch of whiskey and like a bunch of food. And so it was like living in an Airbnb for a week with my brother constantly annoying me. And Jeremy, if you're listening to this, I love you to death, but god damn, you need attention. Ron, what did you want to
So,
say?
Lauren, did you miss your mom?
I did. I missed her a lot. Actually,
Kelly, we
up
love
to the
you.
mic. Hold it
If
to
you're
the
listening,
mic. We're gonna. I missed her so badly. I didn't know what to do with myself. The entire time I was just overwhelmed with.
We love you,
All right, stop it. But
This
yeah, it was a
message
great
for
week.
Kelly
I really,
O'Brien.
I got to hang out with my brother, my sister-in-law, I guess, my brother's wife. She took us up to her family, who are very they're much higher class than we are, so it was a little awkward in that regard, just because you never quite feel good enough, which was the feeling throughout all last week. But it was great. I got to meet new family on my brother's wife's side, and I got to hang out with them and their kids, and I got to see my two nieces and nephews, and then my dope ass niece Malia, who we played Minecraft with. It was a good week. So again, like despite it being like kind of awkward and like a little lonely, it was fucking wonderful. God damn it, Ron.
Well, that's great.
Thanks for asking, Shawn.
Yeah, for
Nice.
sure. And Joe, what about you?
Well, for me, I spent my Thanksgiving in Arizona, not with Loren's mom.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah.
This sounds way too conspicuous to
Arizona's
me.
pretty
Like,
close to Area 51, right?
I think is it New Mexico or is it
it's Area 51 is in Nevada.
Yeah.
Nevada?
So it's closer than Loren was to his mom.
So
One could
let me
say.
ask you this, Joe. What did you do while you were down there? Did
I,
you fuck my mom?
No, I was hanging out with this lady named.
That's why you went mute.
We call it making love. So
so
I was actually in
uncomfortable.
Holden, Arizona, like a town where there's not too many people at all. There's a giant power plant and a jail. That's like the only thing out there. And
Did you go for community service? Or
my cousin's out there doing some
work for the state?
yeah.
Well, and last we spoke, you had mentioned, I believe it was on the podcast actually. Last we spoke, you were going off on a mission to be silent.
I got
not
a
speak the whole
good
time.
week of that, and I found it's very easy to do.
Yeah.
I
So were you silent with your brother too?
cousin and
Cousin, sorry.
no, not at all. It was like a week in Arizona or a week in Tucson and like a little bit of time in Phoenix, and then I only spent like 3 days over with my cousin just for Thanksgiving,
Oh, I see.
where we decided to just get Thai food and not even deal with any of like the Thanksgiving hoo-ha.
Fuck yeah.
It was a pretty good time.
That seems like something that would be super easy to do, though. I was talking to Shawn about this the other day. It's because you don't ask questions when somebody's trying
Yeah.
to talk to you if you're like a worker or like just a person you meet at a bar or something. We had this guy come to the cafe that I was talking to Shawn about. Like I was like, I think he was like faking it because it wasn't real like sign language that he was trying to do to me. And like the one time that like he actually asked for a pen and a piece of paper to write something down, it was just to ask what people like across the bar were talking about. And then still even the writing was broken.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Maybe his sign language was because you've got ASL, which is American Sign Language, but then you've got like BSL, British Sign Language, and there's a couple of different variations throughout the.
No, it was
Throughout
more
the-
like
Interesting.
sign language I would do if I was trying to act mute.
So you're saying that he looked like he was trying to imitate somebody rather who's deaf.
Pantomiming,
Or maybe
is
just
that what it's
didn't want to
called?
talk to people.
Yeah.
And I brought it up to Shawn. You remember this, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was asking about it. I was like, "Have you seen this guy? Oh, what's the deal?" And you told to me that he had been there talking to Joe the day before, right? For like an hour, just conversating. So I thought he stole your idea. Like it might have came up in conversation. The whole
He
fake
might
news
have.
thing.
I was talking about it all week, but it ended up being super easy to do. And then I just got very like kind of like down on the whole experience where I needed to do it. It was a really good recharge. And like I kind of just wandered around, did a lot of hikes, did all of that. But then when I was all done, it was kind of more like, I probably should have interacted with some people. But it was Arizona, and like it was either like weird old couples or pretty methy
Like
I-
turquoise salesman.
yeah. I also go to bad bars. Like if it's a dirty, dark bar where I could just sit in quiet, like that's like the bar I
I kind
want.
of like that too, to be honest.
Yeah.
When I go to
I
a
love
bunch
it.
of new places, I end up going somewhere, and then the drinks are spendy, and then there's like, hey, blah, 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 to tell me your, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
really just want to sit here, stare at a TV screen, and drink a beer, and think about my life for a second. or
My favorite
something.
thing.
And so I go to those dingy bars just for that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
go find that tavern on the south side of town and just go sit there, and they're like, what's your story? story, partner. I'm like a whiskey.
Well, and
Yeah,
speaking of the
that's the whole story.
yeah, so here in Hayfork, it's literally, well, no, it's not literally, it's virtually a one-horse town. So we've got 3 bars and 2 grocery stores, and basically that's it. I think we've got 3 churches, 4
7
churches.
churches.
No, there's a lot of churches.
There's 7 churches?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so I spent a fair amount of time, about a year and a half, being a homeless person. It was not a very enjoyable experience. But what I would do is I would go down to Rope and Ronda's at the east side of town, and I would go there, and there was always a pool table around back that was empty and open, and because it wasn't like the place for socializing. And so I'd go in there and I'd pop in a podcast or like listen to an album or something like that, and I'd shoot the shit, literally shooting pool, and just hang out by myself simply because I didn't, and I'm trying to relate it back to what you're saying, like being by yourself, it can be actually quite a positive experience
I love it.
in a bar, yeah. And I got not great, like I've got hit and miss nights, but like I got pretty good at knowing how my angles are gonna work out in pool, and so being by yourself, I can imagine, was a really cool experience in that regard. Because in my experience, it was like, well, I got to improve upon a skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I really like going to restaurants by myself. That's always something I've read.
How's that experience with being a mute, quote unquote?
Well, it was basically just pointing at menus, and like I had headphones on, and I like also probably like gave the look that I really didn't want to communicate, especially because it would be me like hiking through like the Sonoran Desert, like it was this weird little like national forest there to get to the town, and it was a beautiful little area, but I would just like wander around then until I was so hungry, and then just like go to like find like a really good like nice restaurant and actually like spend some money on like a good meal, and it was very different to the like class of people that was around.
And that's what you did for the holidays?
Yeah.
Hell
So when I was younger, I was in the Boy Scouts, and I got accepted into the Order of the Arrow, this little exclusive kind of.
The Order of the Arrow sounds like a secret society.
Yeah,
Can
kind
you
of.
verbalize your ear quotes?
It kind of.
Yeah, please verbalize air quotes.
Air quote.
Quote. Just say quote unquote.
It was kind of like a little secret thing. You had to get voted into it, so you got nominated. They nominated one person every year, type of deal, and from all these troops, and then you showed up, and somebody would walk around this. We all had to sit in a circle around this big fire. Somebody would walk around. If you got tapped, you got accepted, and then you went through this little process, and they gave you this cool sash. And
so it was like Duck Duck Goose, but now you're into.
But now
secret
you're in
society.
the thing. Not everybody got selected. You know, it was just like if you got chosen, you were chosen. Then you're part of this little secret thing that was really just like it meant that you did more community service than anybody else.
So you did like 20 more hours. Than
Yeah, it
anybody.
was just like now I am in this extra group that cleans shit up off the side of the road and doesn't talk about it.
That's
Like,
like
cool.
the saddest initiation to anything.
But
I wish our audience could see your face when you had said that, because you looked down and you're like, they clean shit up off the road, and you had this look. It was just like stunned, brutal trauma. You were just like, and like looking down, like away from all of us, or just spacing out. And you're like, I remember being in Vietnam. I remember the things that we had to pick up out there.
PTSD.
I guess
Boy Scout.
I guess I took an oath. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to talk about it.
Oh, they're
That's
coming
something
down
but
on
yeah,
you.
Bro, we're trying to get some
orders-
cease and desist.
but,
So let's go for it.
So after you got picked, though, you still had to go through this weekend ordeal where it was like if you passed the test, then you're actually in. You still like if you got picked, it was one thing, but then you still had to pass the test, and then you were in.
Yeah.
And it was a weekend where you went to this like up to the camp, the summer camp place. Nobody was there, but you had to do all this work for the weekend, like cleaning the pool, scrubbing the this, building the that, cleaning up all the things to get it
So
ready.
it was free labor.
Yeah, it was free. It was a bunch of. That's on like it was. Now that I think about it, a bunch of a weird way to just do more community.
It's like we need you to be a
But-
community. We need you to contribute community service. So go and use the skim my pool.
Yeah. Oh no, it was way worse than skim the pool. So they didn't drain the pool all year, and then would leave it through the wintertime, and then we would come in the springtime, and the pool would drain, and then we had to clean the pool. so it could be refilled and clean.
So it was like,
No, there was
it
times
like
there-
wet or dry when you got
Oh
in
no,
there?
it's like the scum of the bottom of the fucking pond is.
Well, what I'm
covering
asking
everything.
is like, was the pool completely drained and you had to like brush up dry
Yeah, yeah,
leaves,
yeah.
or was it like kind of wet leaves? Because that is a much more complicated situation. Because then you have to like So like consider like
it's-
if
it
somebody
was full and then we drained it.
so it was
And
just
in the
all
draining
wet and
process
gross.
of that, you find out what fell into the pool in the middle of the woods over the wintertime.
Not even exaggerating.
Like
that's
squirrels
gross.
and raccoons, or possibly a deer just trying to get a drink and slipped in and didn't come back out. Those are the things you got to deal with when cleaning the pool. Anyways, what they would do with this, and it was back to the don't talk thing, is where I was relating it to, is they would make it part of one of your tests was the entire weekend from when you showed up to when you left, you were not allowed to speak a word.
What?
We had to do all
Really?
this work. You had to go to make a campsite. You had to, pitch a tent. You had to eat, and then it was a bare amount of food. They give you an orange and a piece of bread each day. That's all you got to eat. An orange and a piece of bread for like 3 days.
Was this training to be like in the
And
Army
then
Rangers?
you had to do all these other, like, you had to clean the pool out. You had to work with a group of other people, but you could not say one word at all. And if you said one word and they heard you, fucking, you're out. Done. You lost
Did they
it.
at least give you a merit badge for this?
Like you got
You
kicked
got
out
the
of the
you
camp?
got the Order of the Arrow sash, where it
They're
was
just
like.
trying to find the kids that could keep a secret.
Then you got to wear this thing, and it was like, wait, your Order of the Arrow? What's that about? And you're like, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Damn.
You don't know what I've gone through, and it was part of the thing, and that's what made it like superior.
It's like
'cause now
Skulls and Bones, but for teenagers.
you're going to summer camp, you're swimming in the pool. Did I clean this spring? And you don't even want to know what that was like, type of deal, And it's like it made you kind of this little thing,
It was
but
filled
without
with
talking
HIV
for a
and-
second. That's what I was getting at. It was a cool exercise though to go a whole like 3 days without saying one
Yeah,
word.
because it was
but
a week for
actually-
you, right, Joe?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
about that. And I've gone longer. Like I've also gone longer by accident.
So did you talk to yourself at home? I'm just trying to understand how the
yeah,
whole
I
process
did, but-
goes.
but more of
What is so funny,
did,
Ron?
Did you talk to yourself at home?
it was more of like
I'm sorry.
like loud one word at a time, just like oh fuck or
Bacon!
awesome or it would just be like weird like things that would just come over me, and it'd be like that like reptilian animal side of your brain
Oh,
where
yeah,
you
yeah.
just don't even control it. You're just like, whoa, where did that come from? Like,
I just imagine Joe just like getting back to the hotel at night and be like, well, my day was great. Like, I walked around in the wilderness for a bit. Like, how that was yours? And he's like, oh, Joe, it was great, Joe. What the fuck was that?
If I could paraphrase what you're saying, is what I love about so this was a vacation for you, right, Joe?
oh yeah.
So what I love about this is you were like, I'm gonna go on vacation, but I'm gonna have a stipulation for it. My stipulation is that I'm gonna go on vacation. So I went on a vacation to Ecuador for 2 months, having learned like very minimal Spanish. I was like actually pretty good at it and got around just fine. But your story is entirely the antithesis of this, in the sense that you were like, yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy my time with a bunch of people, but I'm not going to say a single goddamn word
But
to
what if
anybody.
you had went to Ecuador and decided not to talk the entire time
Exactly.
you were there?
Yeah. It's like I want like rice in English,
That's
but
a
arroz in
challenge.
Spanish. Like you just point, and that's the fascinating thing to me. So, what was the inspiration for doing that? What was it? Just
I
like
like
a
to
random
have
thing?
I like to play games with myself with that, because I travel alone a lot.
Yeah.
So they're like a lot of the times it's just something simple, like I'll just change my name, and then like it'll slowly
your-
just like turn into like another character.
What are your
and,
favorite fake names?
well, it started with when I was living in India. I was just there for a month, but I had like a hut on a beach for a month the whole time. I just stayed in one spot. And I met these backpackers, and it was New Year's, and the guy was like, "Hey, why don't you come back to my table here? Nobody here knows each other. We're all just kind of random backpackers. We're all just hanging out." And as soon as I showed up, he puts his arm around me and goes, "Hey, this is my buddy Toby. I've known him for 20 years. He's my best friend. I had no idea that he would be here." So then the rest of the time in India, I was Toby. And like I just kept playing it until the last day, where I was like, oh, I want to keep knowing these people. So I'd have been like, yeah, actually, my name's Joe. You got to look me up online. But it was great. It takes off one layer. Like when you like try and like explain all of like the weird things about your personality that you kind of build for yourself, like you're just showing them a character either way.
Yeah.
So like you might as well just make it up on the spot, and then if it's real quick and fast, you'll go through it and then just end up having some real conversations.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I had a similar situation, a little different, but on Halloween some years back in San Francisco, I found myself after a concert wandering around with my friends, pretty inebriated and trying
Drunk
to
or high?
Both.
Okay.
And
Tenderloin District.
no, right off of Market, we went to the Bill Graham and watched the Flaming Lips, and afterwards we were walking around just really like say inebriated and I was like, we need to find a house party. I don't know why, but I was determined we need to find a house party.
Yeah, well, you're drunk and more than likely high on some other substances. Let's find fun.
We walked around for a while trying to get into different places and this and that, and finally I just started walking around just like, where's the party at? Where's the party at? These two dudes in racing, like NASCAR M&M racing suits. They're like, oh, it's right there, and pointed to an apartment place that had three apartments above each other, one of those townhouses, you know. And I was like, oh, shit, all right, yeah.
Are those triplex?
I don't know how it works when it's up. But there was
I don't know
each
either.
place was a different spot with a connecting fire escape in the back. But you kind of walked into the first level.
Yeah.
Somebody lived on the second one, and there was another third one and stuff. Anyways, we get into this party and walk around. We don't have anything. I kind of naturally grab like a glass just off the table, make it look like I'm kind of hanging and I'm familiar because I'm obviously not supposed to be here. We just walked in the front door and just walked in all three, four of us, and that walked in. And it was just like, yo, just mingle. Well, one dude I remember came by, and it was like he was there for the same reason I was there, but he needed a partner. So he came by and he was like, yo, Toby, how you been? And I was like, I already knew. I was like, Bill, it's good to see ya. And we shook hands, and he had a 12-pack. He's like, need a beer? And I was like, yeah, I love one. And when he gave me a beer, he's like, meet me on the back porch in a second. And we just traded pass. But for the rest of the night, we knew to engage with each other, so we looked like we were
guys were friends.
Yeah.
We made friends so we could be there. And now he was just kind of like, yo, buddy, I got your back, and we kind of hung out with each other. And not a bunch, but it was like now we had if we passed each other throughout this party, we said, hey, buddy, how you been? Oh, yeah, great. All right, later.
Yeah.
So I've got a similar story, but I want to ask you guys something before that. Have you guys ever heard of techno metal?
No.
Sounds like a headache.
So yeah, it really is a headache.
I feel like I have, but then I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, and so I was dating this girl for a little while, and I'm honestly, I'm gonna put that aside actually. And like, she invited me to go see this band. Enter Shikari is the name of the band, and they were like listening to their albums. They were kind of cool because they had like this heavy tone to them, and then like dubstep. This was probably 10 years ago. Dubstep was really heavy.
Something like mindless self-indulgence.
Like mindless self-indulgence, if they.
More
so it was like mindless self-indulgence, but the guitars were playing distorted guitars. It was metal music. It was like and so it was really metal. But then they would have breakdowns where like one of the members of the band had like either a synthesizer, or a keyboard, DJ booth. I don't know how the fuck it happened, but anyway, yeah, it was a metal.
Oh god.
Sound manager, intern Ron, give me some. It was literally nothing like that.
This is Enter Shikari.
Oh, is it? So I'm literally lying. Yeah.
This is probably just the intro before it gets heavy.
Yeah, it's super weird.
Yeah, here's the techno part of it for sure.
Yeah. And then it gets like really metal.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so...
I could slay a dragon to this.
Yeah, and honestly, they're a better band than I remember, actually. Because I remember them being fucking terrible. So I was on a date with this girl.
Oh, the plug.
Enter Shikari, plug. So I remember being on this date with this girl, and we went down to the Ace of Spades or something like that in San Francisco. And we go to the show, and there's, like maybe 200 people in there. Very quiet venue. But the band is kicking, like everything's going on, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, Michael or some shit. I don't fucking know, like Scott, he calls me some name, and they, like him and 4 of his friends came up and they were wearing like all this like the EDM, like the bracelets, like really bright colors, like they've got like they're made of neon practically.
UFO pants.
Candy.
Yeah, I would say that they were candy kids. And so these kids come up to me while I'm on the state with this girl. They're like, Michael, bro, I didn't know you'd be here. You told us you couldn't make it. And I was like, my music is going on in the background. So I'm like, I'm not Michael. And I'm yelling this at these people. And they're like, Michael, like, you told us you wouldn't make it. Who's this girl? And I fucking fell into it, dude. I was like, you're right, guys. I was going to come to the show anyway with or without you guys, but I had a date. And so, like, I'm glad that you guys are here. But it's good to see you. I'm going to hang out with her for a little bit. And the interesting thing about it was this guy who was wearing a necklace that had a binkie on it was like, you want to hit, bro? And passed his pinky. His
lollipops, dog.
Yo, he was passing this binkie to me. And I was like, I'm not going to suck on that binkie after you. There's no fucking way that I'm going to. Like, and first of all, why the fuck do you have a binkie? But putting that aside, no, I'm not.
And
he's
Michael would.
Yeah, Michael would.
You're not Michael.
Yeah. And so he's like, well, whatever. And as he puts like his binkie down, I noticed that there's like this weird film that kind of like is on the inside of the binkie. And I put 2 and 2 and 4 together and realized that 8 means that this guy has actually put a shitload of MDMA into this binkie. And that he's actually just sucking on this binkie and poked a little hole in the mouthpiece of it so that he can get drugs out of it.
Oh, wow.
And man, it was the weirdest case of like being somebody who I was not, and then like suck on my binky, dude. It's like it was just a really fucking weird experience.
It's like this scene in Fear and Loathing when he finds the guy in the bathroom where it's just like you have no idea what kind of trip somebody else is on.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, and that's why I also think that they were convinced that I was Michael or Mike or whatever the fuck the person's name was. It's because they were so high. They were like, you've got curly hair. You must be our friend who's also really tall. And it's like they were just fucking wasted out of their mind, either drunk, high, or both. I'm personally of the belief of both.
Moral of the story, never suck a strange man's binky.
You should never suck.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's episode title. Never suck a strange man's binky. So we probably already got.
How was your Thanksgiving?
How was
Shawn?
your Thanksgiving, Mr. Host?
Oh, wow.
My Thanksgiving was good. I just kept it calm and easy. Hung out with Alex and Nadia over at their spot.
Oh, nice.
Had a couple other people, nice, and Jack and Dwayne. We just all kind of ate some good food. I was pretty thankful to get a hot plate of food and good cookings and eat some pie and hang out and watch a little football.
A little football. Speaking of which, let's bring it up.
Oh, okay.
How are you guys doing?
I'm going to start with this, though, because I think this is fucking hilarious.
I'm going to start with this beforehand. These two idiots, Shawn and Ron, Shawn being the host and Ron being the intern, they're both a part of a fantasy football thing. So
I'm not anymore.
To dive into it. Wait, you're not?
I'm not anymore. I
You
thought
quit?
that's what you were getting at.
No,
I'm curious
He
now.
got
what's
kicked
going
out.
on?
He got kicked out.
I
You got kicked out?
I got kicked
What'd you
out,
get kicked
bro.
out for? Also, eat your mic a little bit more.
So I got White
Were you
Claw.
deflating footballs?
I did Deflategate. It was like A-Fork Straw Spoon Benders, like Deflategate of the year. Like, so I got a little White Claw wasted, and if you guys don't already know, I was in the running for the L Chain, which is our losers trophy, right? So there's no way in hell I'm making the playoffs, at this point. Luckily, I did win my last game to secure Shawn and my lady's spot in the playoffs. But besides that, so they started playoff week 1. I got fucking the white girl wasted on the White Claws, drinking like a middle-aged
Jesus
woman.
Christ.
And I was at the bar.
Was this your Thanksgiving?
No, this wasn't on Thanksgiving because it was the week after. It was like the pre-playoff fucking thing.
I see.
But anyway, so I'm at the bar. I'm like, I'm just drunk enough to think it's funny if I just drop all my players so everybody else can pick them up, right?
What the?
That is the cardinal sin of fantasy football.
Yeah,
You know,
it really is.
Because I mean, like, it'll help people out who have auction cash still,
But you're
and
giving
not
other
the
people
greatest
fuel.
team. Oh no, it was great though too, because like I even like picked up a player that's a free agent for the NFL. Like he's not even on a team because he beat his fucking girlfriend. You know, he like got
Jesus
exiled.
Christ.
So I was like, well, nobody's gonna pick up this dude. I'll claim him and drop every other player on my team. You know.
So you're literally getting 0 points a game.
So
well, I mean, I have no more games. It's over for me.
He decided to drop all his players to allow anybody that was a good player on his team to just be picked up and be an advantage now.
That's
somebody
some
else's.
bullshit right there.
Well, no. So the commish, Matt, just decided to deny the entire thing and then kick him out of the league, and so he can't even get back into it and do
I can't
anything.
even watch the scores at this point. Which, I mean, I don't really need to. But
Eat your mic, god damn it.
since we talked about that first, what I really wanted to address, I want to get back to the Thanksgiving games, man. So, traditionally, it's usually the Redskins versus the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Which is like that on its own, fucked up.
It's racist. Yeah.
Fucked up.
Super racist.
Okay.
Especially on Thanksgiving.
So
Yeah.
instead, they switched it up a little.
I never realized that. Like,
Yeah,
I was
they
a fan
switched
of
it up a
football.
little this year. So instead of the Redskins, the Cowboys played the Buffalo Bills. Like, talk about another genocide, you know?
Yeah. So
Uh,
instead of the Redskins, they were like, well, let's just play the Buffaloes because we killed all them before.
Well,
And
also
they
don't
still lost.
also don't forget the Buffalo Bill, the person, like he's a character, a fictionalized character made after Ed Gein, who was reported to have killed and eaten a bunch of people. And there's a long story
So-
about that whole thing, but
So, I wanted to add to this is that the Buffalo Bills insinuates that it's a character like you were talking about.
Exactly.
It's a person or something like that. But their emblem is a buffalo after Buffalo.
They don't just got pictures of Ed Gein, like, on their helmets.
yeah, exactly.
Which apparently somebody tried to tell me that, like, no, that was just a name for something before Ed
Well,
Gein.
and
Whatever.
And so Buffalo describes that they're from Buffalo, New York,
Yes.
and they're Bills.
See, this is why I'm saying they need to recruit a team of players with the first name Bill.
Or they should just have like duck mouths.
Dude.
Like pick a fucking lane,
It's-
you know what I
no,
mean?
it
Like
makes
left,
more
right lane, like pick
more,
one.
It makes more sense to be a baseball name because all baseball players have hats with bills on 'em.
Exactly.
So that's not even what I wanted to talk about. So this Lions
Layers
game,
on layers.
this Lions game that they always have this thing on Thanksgiving where they take a player that's like less shined on, you know, they don't get so much airtime, if you will, and
did
they
hear
have
about
these
this.
little cutscenes where they have that player with their family in their home saying Happy Thanksgiving to all the people
Aw.
watching. So the fucking
Plug.
first one that they did
Plug.
is this guy Darvarius White playing for the Lions. And the first thing you see, the caption rolls up. Obviously, he's a guy of color, right?
Yeah.
First thing you see, it says, the White family.
What?
And then this entire family of African Americans comes up on the screen. Like, they don't have people, like, testing this, maybe we should, like, get another player that's, like, gets less airtime. Like, we don't want to come off as racist or something. They're, like, just full bore into it, you know?
I think Key and Peele did an episode about that where it was like how essentially the premise of their episode was like, why is everybody named Black, like their last name is Black? Why are they all white people? And why are anybody named White all
Jack
White.
Black. and,
black people? What did you just play on your little soundboard?
What?
Play it again.
What?
What'd you
Very
play?
It
white.
didn't work.
Wow. Wow.
Super pertinent. Wow. Jesus Christ.
I'll stop with that bullshit. Oh, so anyway, in other news, in other news,
And this has been episode 12. Wait.
This is
No,
13.
we still have more. Don't go anywhere. We have a quick word from our sponsors. Correction. This is episode 13. Don't go anywhere because we're retarded and we need to make a commercial break now.
Commercial! It's time for a commercial. Commercial break. Sponges, steel wool, gloves, rubber gloves. There's just so many utilities that are needed for doing dishes, but we've combined them all into one, introducing the Iron Gauntlet. It's like a Swiss Army knife, but for dishes.
Now hold the iron fist over your dishes. Conquer any scrub, stains, or sweat you need to put down.
We'll even deliver it to your door. Chainmail.
The Iron Gauntlet provides me an authoritarian regime that just conquers over dishes, and I can't thank them enough.
Dishes are shattered in the sink, but they are sparkly clean.
It'll break down your dishes like the Wall of Berlin.
Each finger has a different application. For instance, the pinky, bleach. The ring finger, we've got straight up detergent. And then your middle finger is a sponge. First finger, steel wool. But the entire thing is made out of iron. So if you need to scrub off that dirty dish, if Thanksgiving dinner has brought to you the terrorism of dishwashing, introducing the NATO of dishwashing. Again, you can literally punch through any grime, any stain that goes on in your house. And it's not just for dishes. You can use it on cats. You can use it on kids, dogs. You can use it on your car. It will scratch the shit out of your car, though. Just ask our trusted, loyal customers.
I had trouble, real trouble in my life, until I got the Iron Fist Scrubbing Glove Gauntlet. I clean, I break, repeat. I took care of my dishes, and never again will I have to worry about these problems. Clean, I break, I repeat.
It's even better in the bedroom.
I just punch a hole directly through my dinner pan every time. Thanksgiving dinner, not a problem.
I bring it into the shower when I've had those sinful thoughts, and it works every time.
I scrub, I break, I throw away. I scrub, I break, I throw away. I love you.
Iron
Boy,
Gauntlet.
howdy, it'll get you clean.
I clean, I break, I repeat. I clean, I break, I repeat.
Sir, can you give me one towards the camera?
I'll say it one more time and make it real clear. I clean, I break, and I repeat.
Security.
The Dish Gauntlet, brought to you by Risky Pistols. Now, you can beat the fuck out of your dishes.
Introducing the Lazy Boy Toilet Recliner. Do you hate going from one comfortable bed to a comfortable chair to an uncomfortable toilet? Now, with these simple attachments, turn your toilet into a beautiful, comfy Lazy Boy. Only available in brown.
Lazy
Boy. Introducing the new Common Blood Sprinkler by Guar. Bring a Guar concert now to your household.
Kids, do you love Guar, but your parents won't let you go to the concert? Now throw your own concert in their bedrooms.
With our Guitar Hero update, you can attach this directly to your PC, PS4, or Xbox One, and it'll shoot cum and blood everywhere, like a real Guar concert.
It's never been easier to activate Guar power. With one flick of the wrist, cum is everywhere.
I learned all the Guar songs with my Guitar Hero add-on pack, and now I feel like I'm really at a Guar concert. I have cum and blood everywhere.
Now made with real blood, real cum. It's optional.
My girlfriend just got pregnant.
The Blood and Cum Sprinkler is made in loving memory of Odorous Arungus, the lead guitar player for Guar.
Powerhouse Records.
Puh, puh.
Black sheep and bad apples coming at you like a hard apple. Sitting in a garage, didn't know what's wrong. I ain't got nothing.
Joe.
My name is Joe. My credit score is low. I like shoes with exposed toe.
And you know I'm Loren O'Brien, and you know that I be constantly rhyming, and I got these black shackles, you know, on the trapple. That's all you run.
Fuck. Fuck.
Go, Steve. Go, Steve.
All right. Chilling at the bar, chilling, fucking drinking, thinking which one of these freaks I'm gonna freak with. So I see one, and I pull up. I say, "What's up?" She says, "What's up?" Then I say, "What? I just want to touch your butt. Don't worry, girl, that'll make you a slut."
You want to go another, Shawn? Let's go another. Here we go. Shitty House Records.
Shitty as fuck.
Rhyme drop.
Break it down. Got a couch looking like it's a motherfucking clown. 2 dogs, 5 motherfucking grills, staring at me like I ain't what's real. I didn't know if I was sitting in my chair. When I got up, I didn't dare to stand on another ladder in my day, cause I fell off the last time and I didn't know what to say.
That's fuck.
Walking down the street, eating that meat.
Nailed it.
Yeah, it rhymed.
Nailed. Nailing it like Jesus on the cross, and I ain't got a lot to say, but I got a lot to see, 'cause this whole world's got me. And you know I keep going, I'm going on, and I'm tossing this rhyme to my buddy Ron. Get it?
This was a fucking bad idea. Black sheep and bad apples, who'd see it? I don't give a fuck, cause I'm White Claw drunk and my dick is getting sucked. Huh?
That's not happening here.
Welcome.
Clarify that.
Welcome back to Black.
Check it.
Welcome back to.
Just happened.
Welcome back to Black Sheep and Bad Apples.
Wait,
I'm tonight's co-host. My name is Loren O'Brien, and I'm acting as the Freaky Friday co-host of Black Sheep and Bad Apples. Shawn?
You were scaring me there for a second.
Shawn, you want to say something as our main host? What's up, baby?
You know, I've been kind of freaked out a little bit lately. I got to be honest. I got to bring up all this weird shit. I don't know what's going on with the seasons lately, but I just had a cricket invasion here at the studio.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Are all
And
over.
before we get on to a main topic, that's something I got to bring. I don't know what's the change in the seasons going on right now, a little weather climate change, but there's been a cricket invasion that I've never seen before around here.
And it's not just like a cricket invasion. It's like it was like if another country was like, we're gonna send all of our weak and wicked to America, and like literally there's like you guys can't see it here in the podcast, but there's one-legged crickets, like one back-legged crickets running through here. There was a spider in here that was just. Thank you, Ron. I'm assuming that it was so full that it just ignored.
It just swooped a leg off a cricket.
Yeah,
It was pretty
It just
interesting.
walked past a cricket. I don't know if it ran up and broke its fucking leg off or not, but like
It just dipped and swooped. And
I think it's less of an invasion, and more of a war, is what I'm saying.
ooh, interesting.
Cricks on. Cricks versus blood spiders. I was stretching. I don't fucking know. Here's some air horn.
You know what? What would we do? What would we do?
You
without
couldn't find a
man?
cricket noise? That's like the most popular thing on a soundboard is the cricket.
Oh, fuck.
No, but I have noticed that. Honestly, I've been not upset to come back here, but I've been kind of nervous because I don't like killing things unnecessarily. But there's been so many crickets on your floor; it's like a carpet of them. And so, like, if you take one step into the studio, you have to step on crickets. And for the record, you guys don't know what the audience doesn't know what the outlook or like what the general area looks like. Essentially, we've got a studio built on top of a large meadow, and I'm
Native American cricket ground. That's what
Sorry,
it is.
I didn't mean to be offensive.
Yeah,
Meadow is a very white person thing to say. I mean Native American cricket ground. So the point that I was going to make, though, is that I honestly, like, from what I was noticing, I think that they're coming here because it's warm.
Yeah.
Like, it's warmer than the outside. That's why they're hanging out on the exterior walls, and they're coming inside like, just, like, randomly. That's the
But
only
Loren,
logical thing I can
they're
think of.
crickets. They're not worms. That's what I need the cricket sound, bro.
Yeah.
That's typical.
That would have been exactly where the cricket sound goes, because
Oh,
you literally, not figuratively, but literally rendered me speechless. And this is a podcast, like
That was a great
The
pun,
only
okay?
thing we have to do is keep talking.
Yeah,
All of us stopped.
God, I love you, Ron.
Oh, thanks, bud.
So, what do you think about the crickets? Are they tasty? Or I know you're a cricket eater.
Dude, I am a cricket connoisseur, actually. Yes, I have dabbled a bit in crickets and moths and the other legged, the smaller creatures. Okay.
What's your favorite legged creature to eat?
Oh, dude.
Like, are you Donner Party style? Like, oh, I love fucking
Or what's-
bipedals.
Man, have any of you had frog legs?
No.
I've
I
not.
haven't actually.
Fucking frog legs are bomb.
Yeah, I heard they're
Yeah.
pretty good.
For legged
You mean,
creatures,
like, good and
as far as
greasy,
those
but
go,
yeah.
second to a
Wait.
bigger the fowl or whatever.
Most of the things we eat are legged, though.
Yeah, I was thinking
a
that
smaller.
too.
I mean,
legged
except for like fish and
creature.
I mean, birds
And he
actually
brought up
are
the one
legged.
thing that has the smallest legs of all, moths. Like that's what he was saying.
Yeah. So you've eaten moths?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Bait crickets. I've had
What about
bacon
gypsy
flavored
moths?
crickets. Dill ranch flavored.
I'm
fucking
still
crickets.
focused on
Come
the
in a
moth
wide
thing.
variety of flavors.
Yeah,
man.
I'm a cricket connoisseur.
How-
I already brought this up once.
How like what was the flavor of moths? Because that just seems like a kind of like a
It was chalky, to say the least.
I mean expectedly.
I imagine fried they would taste better, probably.
Hey host.
I do want to bring up something that Ed Gein didn't eat people.
Oh yeah,
But, like it has been like just kind of like really on me. Like, I just
Well,
wanted to bring that up.
and also
He just made lampshades of
He
it.
harvested people to make crafts, but he didn't actually eat anybody.
when I
Like-
listened to the podcast to Ed Gein, which might
Just
be
to clarify.
Yeah,
Just to make, yeah, I
well,
mean,
in the podcast that Ed Gein might be a little off point. Like they might have gotten some details wrong. But Ed Gein, from what I understood anyway, he only killed one person.
One, maybe two.
Maybe
Yeah,
two.
like
And
and
the
then like
maybe is
maybe
the
his
emphasis.
brother.
and then he
but-
made crafts out of them.
Well,
Well,
he
the-
went. He grave robbed a lot.
Yeah, so he would go to he would
okay.
go to
Yeah.
the graveyard.
Ah, I gotcha.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah.
at the same time that
He would cut
that-
off girls' pussies and stuff. It was a lot of real weird shit.
See, I
man.
actually didn't hear the details about that. You might be incredibly correct, but I heard that Ed Gein, what he did was he actually just filleted like newly dead people, and would take their skin back to his house in his truck because there was a truck in the whole thing. I'm gonna have to look up the podcast and cite it. But he just like filleted people at the graveyard and took the skin back to his house and made like lampshades and shit. So when people
bunch
walked
of weird
in,
stuff.
yeah. So when people walked in, I think this was in the 30s or 40s or something like that. They walked in and saw these dead bodies and like they saw a dead body, and then his mom, I believe, was still dead in her bed at the
Well,
time.
yeah.
And so then they saw lampshades made of skin and stuff like that, and they were like the people at the time just assumed they were like, well, he's killed and eaten like plenty of people, even though
Yeah.
I'm not certain that he ate anybody, but
That,
I'd have
that's
to
what
look into
like
that.
he had like a bunch of he was really left alone. He was one of those very very sad cases where like very very mentally disturbed and set alone in like an area where nobody wants to talk to those people.
Yeah.
Like he had problems where his mom like was forcing him to be a woman, and then like that's why he like kind of tried to make a little bodysuit and like all kinds of real weird shit like
Yeah.
that.
Well, and not for nothing, he was also a handicapped man. Like he was a person
But
who like,
amazing at arts and crafts.
Yeah, and at
like
the
if you
time-
could do that stuff, like that takes talent. Like if he just like kind of pivoted towards like taxidermy or something, he'd probably be the best taxidermist.
He'd
in
probably
the
still be
world.
around.
I've been trying hard not to plug myself, guys, but if you know anybody that wants to donate their skin to Ron Baca, P.O. Box, what's it?
Send your skin
364
to
364
Hayfork.
PO Box 364
California.
Hayfort, California.
Do you guys know
I will
Zoom?
repurpose your materials.
So, in case this is your first episode, which is like, why are you listening to this one and not the first one? Fucking idiot. Go back and listen to the whole chronology of this podcast. Anyway, Ron's a milliner, and so
Shut up,
he makes hats,
Keep that shit
and
out
it
of the
sounds
mouth.
like Ron wants to make hats out of your skin. So again, what was the PO box? Send your
364.
send your skin to PO Box 364 Hayfort, California, and I can't remember the zip code. But just send it here, and Ron will make your skins into a hat. That's what he's trying to plug.
It's a great
I
thing to
don't
put
care
in
if
your
you're
will.
what do they call it? A moil? What's the
Yeah,
foreskin cutters?
Yeah, that's a moil.
Or you just recently died and would rather not go to a museum.
Or if
Do you
you just
wanna-
had that like surgery where you lose a bunch of weight really quickly and then you just like or end up like a flying squirrel with all the extra skin.
Dude, bro, fuck that. Fuck buying a wingsuit. Like, dude, I'm just gonna do that.
Jesus Christ.
Why is nobody talking about this? It's the latest craze.
Turn your own
Al
body into a
Roker
skin
did
suit.
it.
Now, the skin suit apparatus company brings you. Have you lost a ton of weight?
Dude.
We're here to turn your skin into attachable. I don't know.
What was the show Al Roker was on, man?
He's
Fat
still on it.
people.com.
That's Good Morning America.
Good
Is that
Morning
this?
America.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Imagine if his co-host was just like fucking. This just in, this morning, Al Roker died in a tragic wingsuit accident.
I want a skin. That was beautiful, Ron. You fucking nailed that one.
I'm not that cool.
I mean, I agree. So, Mr. Host, sorry to detract from you. What do you what you got?
Ooh,
What are we
what,
doing?
What do I got? What
You want
I
to do
got?
more freestyles?
Don't
Because you
think-
really did not like doing
No,
that.
I don't think I'm gonna do that again. That was. I'm working on it. I'm working on some trap beats, but I am not on the freestyling thing yet. I'm trying to figure that out. It's a new realm
It's really like super difficult.
in my life. Yeah.
Oh, I practiced my 3 lines for a long time before it was my turn.
But like you
They
didn't
weren't
make
long
4
lines.
lines. You just had 3 lines.
yeah.
So with that in mind, I want to bring up a topic.
Oh, we're getting to the topic now.
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
real topic. A real
There's a
little topic
topic?
that we'll topic off with.
What are we topping off of?
Did I not even get a?
That-
At
that's-
least boo
that's
me on
rude,
it.
Ron.
Jeez.
Jesus.
You took too long to put that fucking topic in there.
You're-
Fuck
You're a
you.
piece of shit, Ron.
It almost adds. It almost adds to it.
It really does.
No, the difference between what they consider lo-fi music and hi-fi music, and how you feel on the difference between the two as far as what's considered radio-friendly quality of music, and what they don't allow on typical radio stations.
So
we'll
let's
say,
define
because
this-
It's just not
Let-
of quality, hi-fi quality, digital.
Let's start
quality.
this conversation with I want you to define both high and lo-fi and what both of those means.
So lo-fi is going to be more analog, if you will, more tape quality,
Yeah.
more, you know.
Well, and it's I guess the point that I was trying to reach is that like hi-fi and lo-fi describe high fidelity, which means having a lot of good quality to the music.
John
And then-
Cusack, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Cusack is
What?
the
He's in the movie High Fidelity.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, yeah. So
Anyway,
it's
continue.
kind of like,
He killed the guy.
in an essence, like the top 40 person you hear on the radio, radio recorded version of this song, ready for that, versus the garage band that's recording their album themselves.
Are you talking about the band
Cold.
Have you guys heard of it? Merit Parcel plug.
Oh.
You guys heard of Merit Parcel?
We're definitely lo-fi.
Well, lo-fi and
Lo-fi.
lo-fi. Yeah, definitely that.
No, but what I see though is what they allow on radio though has to be of a quality, and there's a ton of music out there I love to listen to that's lo-fi. It's a lo-fi sound. It's a lo-fi quality in that you will not hear on the radio because of just that. So how do you feel about that's on like
But
that?
but
and
could a song that was first recorded in lo-fi be like recorded again in hi-fi? Like
they are
and
doing
be
a
the
lot of
same?
remastering, redigital releasing, and stuff like that to bring it up to a quality. But then it's
But would
kinda
it be the
that-
same to like the average person listening to it?
Yeah, that's on like so
Yeah.
what they consider appropriate for radio quality, almost CD quality, tape quality. What you would consider the lowest grade of format you would listen to if you're listening to it on the radio as considered to a CD or a tape or a vinyl.
So-
If I could,
Right.
it's definitely a seedy business. Like
Jesus
you know,
Christ, Ron. That
one
was
more
a great pun.
Oh, well,
Give
fuck
yourself
off.
some applause.
Where's the
hit the applause
if I
button?
No,
could,
hit the
man.
boo one. Hit the
Yeah, so it's definitely a CD business. They're
That was
trying to
great.
sell them. They are seedy, of course. Like fuck it. I don't know.
So, do you have a thought that you want to continue?
Well, no, this is funny because like I've heard of lo-fi, like mostly like fucking 8-bit like kind of fucking drum tracks that they
Like
make
our
into
theme
things.
song?
And fucking our good friend Alex, not sure if that's a plug. Like turn
Well,
me
you know,
on.
we'll call it plug.
Plug.
All right,
Plug.
Yeah.
Our friend Alex, plug.
Yeah. If you know him, you know him. So he turned me on to this thing. He's like, I don't really like Christmas music, but last year I found this lo-fi Christmas station, and he just listened to these the weird like kind
That's
of
pretty awesome.
like the rap beats of the like Christmas traditional music and
So
stuff.
I want to bring up like the lo-fi hip hop beats that you can study. What is it that you can study / read to or something like that? Anyway, it's an entire page on Facebook, and they're really good hip hop beats. Actually, I'm very bad at it, but I love freestyling. And so, like, when I feel like in the mood for freestyling, I'll put that on because they're nice and slow, and like they've got this like slow cadence where it's like boom, 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 and so they're like nice and slow, but they're still speedy and they still like grab your attention. And but in that regard, they're
You still
low
feel like,
they're lo-fi beats.
you still
They
feel
aren't.
like beatboxing.
I mean, I could beatbox, but I'm trying to talk, Ron. Thank you. For fuck's sake.
Wait, he's doing something.
Yeah, what are you doing over there, Ron?
Tired of the media spinning the truth and pushing false
Are you tired of your,
Was that-
your
wa-
weekly ads? and
Are
your
you tired
bullshits?
of the media speaking false narratives? Was that
I'm so happy I derailed for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Here we go. Here we go now. I like them lo-fi beats. You know what I mean? It makes me feel relaxing in the sheets. And I'm not too excited because I got these rhymes at. Anyway.
Are you tired of your dick being too small for too long? Are you tired of
Jesus Christ, Ron.
Wah, 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 wah.
The point that I'm making is that the lo-fi beats, I really like those because it's not super good quality and you don't have to spend like a whole lot of, in regards to data, you don't have to spend a whole lot of data downloading them and listening to them. But I do enjoy them for their quality. And so to answer your question, lo-fi versus hi-fi, I would say that the quality of music is much more important than the fidelity of the music and how well it's being made. Because those beats, even though they're low fidelity, I think that they're very, very good beats. And there's something about it, and I know they're designed for relaxing and studying too, which I think is actually what the thing is titled as. Lo-fi for me is always it's always, whether it's slow and progressive like that, or whether it's like a rock band, like back in the day, in my hometown, we had this band called Ed that was very lo-fi, and even their music was still relaxing and interesting to listen to, simply because it had this. So when you have room for improvement in anything, it lends itself to being a consumer, being a fan towards that thing, and being like, well, if it's good now, it's gonna get better. You know what I mean? Whereas if you like look at like I mean, and just to throw out a name, not anybody in particular, but like Ariana Grande, she's very high fidelity. Her and her fucking, and again, I don't listen to her. I don't know anything about her, but I know that she's got big producers behind her. And so like the room for improvement in that regard only comes from like lyrical content and quality of musicianship, rather than like the quality of the music itself, the audio itself. So I would say that I think lo-fi is actually better because it leaves room for improvement, which I think is kind of a beautiful thing. Not to sound too philosophical either. What do you think, Shawn?
I like it. I like lo-fi a lot. I don't like though that it's not considered more in the high fidelity market, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
It
And
comes down to production, right?
No, it does. It really comes down to like
Not like original fucking content.
Well, and it
or,
comes
like-
down to like a lot of quality sound and Billboard chart things and stuff. But if it's like a different playground, if that makes sense, you know, they're throwing the ball in high fidel like amateur league and pro league type of deal, and it separates. That's right. I'm kind of like it's a weird separation of a deal where they're like, oh, you're in the amateur league, and then you can get good enough to go to the pro league type of deal.
Now, is
But that
digital gonna
ensues-
like change all that?
Yeah, and that's
I
what
mean, I
I'm
think
kinda-
digital has changed all
Yeah.
that.
And I do well, and with that in mind, there is. I think we brought this up once before that vinyl records have, for the first time in
Like,
a
beat
They've
lot of years,
outsold-
Yeah.
outsold, you know,
CDs,
CDs and
yeah.
a bunch of other shit. So that's a good plus. I like seeing that we got this more.
And especially because if I can touch on what I think you're talking about is that like when you listen to vinyl records, like it's a low fidelity thing. Like there's a lot of because it's literally a needle taking in vibrations on a fucking disc, and you know, so there's a lot of variation that you can get on that. But for however grainy and like I don't even know how to describe it. Like when you put on an old record and you get that little sound that's like. Yeah, when you get that, like, yeah, it's low fidelity, but there's something about it that really adds to the whole ambiance of the music, that adds to, like, the character, if you will, of the band that you're listening to.
Yeah.
Not to mention like the fucking the vinyl players and like digitizers. Is that the fucking right thing? They
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
started this trend or kick of like releasing these new age fucking vinyl players that like will convert them to fucking MP3 and
Oh,
fucking
yeah,
play
for
them through
sure.
your
It's got
computer.
the-
bullshit.
Oh, and I've heard about
It's been a resurgence. It's not like maybe that's why they're getting more popular now.
I've heard about the opposite too, where there's these devices where you plug in like MP3s for we'll say that it's an album. You can plug it into this device, and then with the right materials and with the right like things, what it'll do is it'll take all the audio from this digital audio, and it'll actually put it on a vinyl for you. And so it sounds weird to say, but you can make like mixed CDs in vinyl now.
Dude, imagine
cool,
making
huh?
mixtapes on vinyl for your girlfriend. Oh god,
That's true love right there.
that is
Yeah.
sexy. I wish I had a sexy sound clip.
Just do the applause.
So with that in mind, does that apply to podcasts? Would you consider there to be high fidelity and low fidelity podcasts?
If so, which category are we in?
Well,
yeah.
and so
We're definitely pretty high.
yeah, so I would say that
But we're low in fidelity. Infidelity, if you will.
so like me and Ron did our Black Sheep and Bad Apple short about flat Earth, and it was really fun. It was really awesome. The footage
That's
is
low fidelity.
yeah, well, and that's the point that I was going to make is that it's off of my Moto G5 Plus, which is a great phone. It's got great audio and visual capabilities, but it's not necessarily like the high end of it, which is like the difference between high and low fidelity is like how good is your sound, how good is your video production. And so I would say that like our low fidelity in regards to our visuals came from like our little Black Sheep and Bad Apple short episode that we did. But I would say that with the material and the production quality that we've got here, I would say that this podcast is very high fidelity. Having said that, I've listened to quite a few podcasts that are like just really, really, and not low fidelity, but it's like one person talking into a microphone, telling a story or ranting, raving, like they're doing whatever they want to. Nerd
Bill
U is
Burr.
actually exactly what I'm
Does he
thinking
have
of.
a soundboard?
They don't.
No post production.
And that's what makes us HiFi.
Oh,
That's what I'm
dope.
saying.
Fuck
Like,
yeah,
th-
give me
there
a
are,
couple more.
like, there's this girl Umnia. She's got a podcast called Nerd You, and it's really beautiful because she kind of like she takes anything nerdy like movies, comic books, stuff like that. And she talks about like the future of it and where it's going to go and like why this particular episode or movie is bullshit and this and that and the other thing. And what I would say is, no offense to her, is that since she's doing it one-on-one, she doesn't have a soundboard. It sounds so arrogant the more I say it. But I would say that that's lo-fi because it's one person basically like an apartment or a dormitory who's recording this podcast, and while it's a very good quality podcast in regards to like the vocal content, I don't think the audio content is necessarily on par with a lot of other things. But that doesn't take away from it. I think it actually adds to it.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think, Shawn? Where are we at with your podcast, Black Sheep and Bad Apples? You think this is a lo-fi podcast? How would you improve your podcast?
I'm just an intern. It's okay to fire me.
We don't fire you. We just get another intern. We just get another intern.
I'm still just thinking about John Cusack.
We just get another intern. Interim.
I'm trying to figure out if there's like a middle ground in between low and high. What would you call that?
Mid-fi.
Mid-fi?
It's called sober-fi.
Sober-fi?
Oh, geez.
No,
Sober-fi.
Wow.
that's... should be sober-fi?
I think that's considered pro-fi.
Pro-fi?
Seprify? Is that what we're talking about?
Semper-fi.
That's a military
Yeah,
broadcast.
okay.
Is that what that is? The Marines? I don't fucking know.
Well,
Also,
what I like about it though is this where my kind of real questioning was coming from, and is how you think that really influences what we listen to and what's considered top music and all those type of things. Because, like you explained, there's a podcast you listen to, and what I like is the difference in music is music on a broad platform on the top Billboard chart board, what you would consider the actual chartable
Top 40.
No, like all the top 100 Billboard 100,
Yeah.
type of deal is of a hi-fi quality. It's of a radio quality, regardless of how good the music is. It is of that quality. And a lo-fi song will not be made on there. Now with a podcast, though, there's some pro-level podcasts out there, but they're not of a high fidelity. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
The quality of audio isn't actually perfect, but the content is great, and that's okay. So I see this kind of spectrum of change and how that influences and affects things, where it's like, so with music, should the fidelity of or the quality of the music affect whether or not it's being heard and put on the radio, or should it be the how do you influence that?
I think there's also a big flux right now with radio where it comes to like that. I don't know what the company's called, the iHeartRadio.
I think that's the company.
Yeah, like it's like like they have like another name that we've been like hearing about them for the last like 20 years before this, but like they basically have bought up all of radio like space.
Yeah,
And
I
like
think
they have their own like setup of songs. It's like a weird little kind of mafia. Like,
well, and we'll look at it like, I mean, back in the day you
Monopoly.
had, it's a small monopoly.
Yeah.
Like back in the day you had MSN, AOL, and there was Yahoo. I think those were the
Yahoo!
three companies that you could get in order to interact with your telephone. And kids, this is how it used to have to happen. Your internet service provider would have to interact with your phone line, which would have to send. So the point that I'm making is just that there was like three main places where you could actually do anything on the internet, and then that changed over the course of so many years due to legislation, people like profitizing, making entrepreneurial decisions and stuff like that. And so now you can just get on the internet for no fucking reason at all. You could just sneeze and be on the internet. But I think more to the point of what you were saying, Shawn, is that there was like certain like routes to get to like the good things, and like
Well,
iHeartRadio is getting at that point where they're
But also,
they're-
like what you say is it brings up a good thing where like the net neutrality is what is basically stopping a company from doing what iHeartRadio is doing to radio. Like so, like basically now not like Yahoo or any of those companies can't buy up like all of the like area around and
Yeah.
just force us for one type of internet.
yeah.
So like that's kind of like kind of the chain.
Well,
Like
and-
radio's dying the same way cable's dying.
Well, and honestly, not to move into a political spectrum, but like podcasting and things like that are dying. Well, they were dying before net neutrality, because the real fact of the matter is when you've got one person saying what you can and cannot say, what you can and cannot publish, what you can and cannot have on the internet, and then they either block or allow access to these sites, it literally removes like and I don't like using the term, but it removes like the freedom of speech from the entire situation, where it's like, no, I'm very curious as to how to build a solar panel, and when you give a corporation, a government, when you give anybody the amount of power to say, no, you're not allowed to learn about that, that's when things go awry. That's when things are really shitty. You gotta turn...
I'm sorry, guys. I just had to take a piss real bad. Like, I'm sorry.
Jesus
Are you using the
Christ.
lazy boy?
Our new lazy boy. For fuck's sake. No, but it's really interesting because I honestly think that lo-fi music is it's better, and I've already said it, because you got the upward mobility from it. But I think it's better simply because it shows like the grassroots organization of it, whereas like Capitol Records can publish another Blink-182 record, and it's going to be like, the quality sound is going to be really good, but that doesn't mean the content is going to be good. So this like whole grassroots organization thing of like our podcast now, a bunch of other podcasts that I know of, this has actually inspired a couple of my friends. I think they're called Iron and Nerds. Next episode, I'll have their name down. But a couple of my friends from my hometown, biggest video game nerds that I've ever heard of. But then they got out of high school and decided that they wanted to get in shape and work out and stuff like that. And so now they've got a podcast. And again, I think it's Nerds and Iron. Go and check them out.
Plug.
Plug.
But
Nerds and Iron. Plug.
in regards to that, lo-fi gives people like my friend Miguel and Noel, the people who run Nerds,
Were you also pissing?
that it gives them the opportunity to just run with it, to do whatever they want to, and be able. Essentially, it's an ease of access thing where now people like us can be heard. So like lo-fi or hi-fi, I think our microphones and our software are good enough to call us hi-fi, but it doesn't really matter in regards to podcasting.
So I had an idea. You know how new films now, like we can watch classic films made on film and all these type of things, but now they're getting a lot. They're getting a lot more digital, and now they're replicating a film quality digitally. They're trying to bring about that in films now. They're filming them on high quality, production, digital cameras, all this type of stuff, but then putting in a film quality in the post-production to bring out that effect of,
I don't know if I like that. I think the whole idea of like the old school, like seeing like the cigarette burn in the corner of like all of that being a mistake was cool,
So
but
now-
adding it in
No,
post,
now it's like
and
it's an easy mask. I can shoot something on my point and shoot, and then add a mask over to make it
Yeah.
have film quality, and it's a very easy little thing you can do in post production. And they're doing that to a lot of films now. They're shooting them in these really high fidelity qualities, these really high definition things, but then adding the effects now post production to make them look older. So do you think that they're going to start doing that with music, where they start recording them really?
Oh,
Like, really
they
grainy?
do.
Really good, but then
Putting in a filter.
putting in a filter to make it sound old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're
Well,
already
I-
kind of doing that a little bit.
Well,
Yeah,
one thing I do want to
Ways,
say,
but
one,
like,
That's basically Led Zeppelin.
it's-
one thing I do want to say is that like
I thought Hip Hop by Dead Prez, where it was like messing with the the radio dials at first, and you hear like the change of the sound.
Oh yeah, yeah. So one thing I do want to say is that like when it comes to high fidelity, let's look at like TVs. If you want to watch a movie that's in 4K, and that's literally 4,000 blah 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 pixels that are in a single screen.
That
So
was the
your
best
eyes.
explanation of 4K I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
I never knew that.
Well, and so the point that I'm making is you've got 720p, you got 1020
Oh, I get
or
it.
1080 or whatever it is, and so your eyes actually can't interpret more than 3,000 pixels, or and I forget how it actually works, but in regards to like the numbers, 1080p is perfect for human beings' eyesight, and then around 2,000. I think they're pixels. Around 2,000, 3,000 pixels, your eyes actually can't take in any more detail. And so eventually they're going to be selling these TVs that are like 12,000 megapixel TV. But it's like, it's not going to be a difference. You can't see a difference
No,
because there's
it's for your sex robot.
It's for your sex robot,
Yeah.
and it's for people that think that they need the highest resolution, the highest
goddamn.
fidelity of anything that they can have, and it pisses me the
If your
fuck off
sex
because
robot
because
man
like
saw
like
in
like
that,
what like the
and
like
turned you down because they're like, you're dirty. Take a fucking shower. I could see the pixels like of dust laying on you.
well, that's the point that I'm making. Like, have you ever watched like Friends? Have you ever watched Friends on like a 1080p or
It's weird.
4K?
Yeah.
It looks like they intentionally made it into a sitcom. Like you can see the set behind the whole fucking thing. And so the thing that
that's what
bothers
they were
me about the
trying
whole
to do.
fucking thing is that like our brains can only interpret a certain amount of data visually speaking. And so like if we want to keep bumping up the fidelity, like yeah, keep fucking doing it. But at a certain point, it's fucking irrelevant. And that's why I like lo-fi better because there's always room for improvement up till this like there's a ceiling
There's a
for
ceiling,
fidelity. You know what I mean? But like when it comes to like TVs and movies and I guess really what I'm talking about is marketing because they're like check out our 8,000 and a half megapixel TV and it's like you can only interpret 3,000 pixels from this TV.
But
Everybody
are still gonna wait outside on Black Friday
well, and that's
to buy
the
that
fucking
goddamn
thing that pisses me off is that HiFi is it's built to the point where it's like, look, you can have the greatest quality of things, and what they don't say is like the secret, like, well, so you don't need anything past 3,000 megapixels. But check out our 10,000 fucking megapixel TV. And it's like this whole capitalism bullshit that really pisses me off because like you can sell a product that people don't fucking need. Actually, I read a book not too long ago. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but the author was Jesse Einsteinberg or something like that. And he's got this brilliant quote, and he says, in order to create any kind of business, this is what you have to do in today's market. You take away something that people can do for themselves, and then you sell it back to them. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I see modern,
Bottled water.
Bottled water, fidelity TVs, like any and all of these things. And I don't mean to get so vehement, but it's just like, it's a bunch of bullshit when we get to like what are the upper echelons of how life is supposed to work? What are the what is the best quality of things for people, you know? And like we keep improving upon our current technology, and like at a certain point it becomes superfluous in such a way that it's like you literally aren't getting any benefit from this $10,000 computer that is 10,000 megapixels or however the fucking math works, you know?
Yeah, and it's not like John Cusack actually like murdered somebody. He just like killed him with his car.
Yeah, like they fell out of a tree and he fucking
Well,
ran him over.
it was like vehicular manslaughter, but like yeah.
Well, that's a different story altogether, though. What do you?
Hey, motherfuckers! Does anybody have a word of the day?
Ooh, word of the day with dictate.
And now for a word of the day with dictate.
A word of the day. My name is Dictate. Thank you guys for being here with me. Thank you guys for having me on the podcast. I very much appreciate it. So I wanted to bring to you guys something that actually comes from a part of my heart. I love beer, right? And so I wanted to bring today's word of the day is called wort. So in order to make beer, you've got to create this really weird like witch's cauldron of ingredients called wort. And so essentially it's a combination of like your yeast, your your water, your this and that and the other thing. And so wort is today's word of the day. And you put wort in your aging vats in order to create beer.
So it's not the hard like lump that's at the base of my erection.
No, that's a wart.
The genital warts.
W-A-R-T.
Okay.
Whereas wart is a W-O-R-T.
Wart.
yeah,
And that has been the wart of the day with
The
Dick
wart,
Tate.
the wart of the day with Dick Tate. Jesus Christ. This is beautiful. So, since we have you on, tell us more about your espionage stuff, Joe. Because you worked with the Chinese, and if you guys are just joining us, he did a bunch of propaganda photos. Not him, but he was the actor and the model in the photos.
Or model. Yeah, thank you very much.
Tell me more about your propaganda experience.
I also got to hang out in Dubai for a while, where the company I work for, we were technically there illegally. So I had to lie coming in through the border, and I had this big backpack filled with stuff to be there for 8 months, and they immediately pulled me out of there and made me like strip down while they searched through everything. And I had to lie to the Emiratis with AK-47s there and just tell them, like, yeah, no, I'm just passing through. I just have a Ziploc bag filled with batteries just to like give to my friend out here who lives here because he said that they were really expensive and I wanted to give him a present and like a bunch of like weird lies like that.
Is it Emiratis a name of an air flight?
It's
business?
named after them. It's the people of that area that like it's the
It's like the United Arab Emirates or something like that.
That's the UAE. The whole country there is the UAE, and then Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and a couple other Emirates are the cities there. And I was there for a really interesting time when Dubai went broke, and they were about to like sell this. Or they're about to open up the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa, I believe it was called at the time. And they had to sell it to Abu Dhabi, so now it's called the Burj Allah, because when it's just like cities owned by families, so they like when they're run out of money, they just go to the other family. And,
Wow.
I had a girlfriend at the time make a shirt for me that it was the sheikh, the guy who owns Abu Dhabi. It was his picture on somebody riding a donkey saying the word yo. And then on the back, it just said, shake yo ass. And I was told that I was going to be arrested if I wore that outside. It was a good time.
So, I guess I've got culture shock in the sense that I'm trying to parse all this information together. So they're very much an authoritarian state, I'm assuming.
They're under Sharjah law or something like
Sharia
that.
law?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but it's still Dubai. So it's basically the place in the Middle East that's the most accepting towards Western people. So most places in the Middle East you can't buy go to a hotel and buy beer and drink
You can't
out in the
buy
open.
anything.
Well, Dubai is the one place you can.
Nice.
But they also like where I was staying in Dubai was right next to the Dubai Mall, which had the a big ski resort inside the mall.
What
And
the fuck?
I remember when it came out, it was the eco crime of the year, just to make it snow
actually, I
in the
heard about
Middle
that,
East. Yeah. So I got to go in there. They issue you a parka because no one has coats in Dubai. But because we were there illegally, every month we would have to leave the country and come back. So I would have to go to Saudi Arabia and then come back and then yeah.
So what was the cultural variation between the United Emirates and Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia is a lot more strict. So we were issued burqas for all the girls in our group. We had to make sure that we never went to any of those cities, but all the people at the border, they're just stay away from any of that and just kind of go camp out in the desert for the night and then come back through tomorrow morning because they all know what's going on too. And that's the weird thing about it. Dubai's owned by the sheikh. there's like laws and license to get like alcohol and to have a bar, but then you could just go out into the middle of the desert to these crazy desert parties where it was like a kegger. And then I find out later on that the sheikh owns all those too. So like he like it just like keeps both sides of it, and like we knew where the illegal stores were. We would go by illegal bars, and like he was in control of all of it.
So he was essentially like the guy who brought all the contraband in, but then also enforced not having contraband.
Yeah.
Was like hash a big thing over there?
That was the one place that I went where I never got to smoke. But it was also because when I was like coming across the border, them really it was the part of my life where I wasn't wearing underwear for like 2 years, and then
well, I want to bring that up later.
yeah, it was just more of like out of comfort. But like then we I get to the point where they're stripping me down and making me they tell me, all right, get down into your underwear and go stand in the room over there while we search everything. So that means I was just going on and standing there naked, and there's no exception to that. They're just like, well, no problem. We just go over in the corner, and it just makes it easier for us. So
That's perfect. They didn't have you do the bend over and cough thing?
no, they didn't.
Shake it for me.
Well, no, I did that just
it for
because
me.
I wanted to. I got to give them a little bit of a show.
You did it because you
I
wanted
give
to?
them a little shake. Little Shake Shack. You
You'd
know what I
assume
mean,
that
right?
Gotta give 'em a
a
little
place
shimmy.
that doesn't allow hash or whatever, for a place that where the sheikh owns everything.
The funny
What would we do without you, Ron?
have a coherent talk.
Yeah, probably.
The one thing that I found really funny there is when I was showing up in Dubai, I had a sweatshirt on with Che Guevara on it that said Temple Bar Dublin, which is I got it in Ireland. It's a very they love them out there for
And
some
it's a
reason.
weird
They hold them.
juxtaposition of culture.
Yeah, but I was walking through and they immediately just went, "Hey, you in the Bob Marley sweatshirt, you're getting checked." And it was one of those things where I was like, "It's not you. You know what? Bob Marley might be better than actually telling you Che Guevara."
Yeah. Sean, have you ever gotten into a situation in regards to customs, anything like that?
Well, the only one time I did, it was odd. I didn't have a problem with customs, and that's what tipped me off to the problem I had with my flight line. So
what?
I flew back in from out of country, and as I flew in, I smuggled in Cuban cigars in the time that you were not supposed to be having anything to do with Cuba. And I also forgot in the top of my pack a Altoids tin full of weed seeds. I meant to hide those a little bit better, but amongst my,
Well, when you're packing, you don't really think along
yeah,
those
I just
lines.
forgot that was in the top.
I'll get to it when I get there.
Yeah, exactly. And well, as I was going through customs, I was holding my backpack, and I remember I had to switch airlines, and not airlines, but I had to switch planes at a transfer spot and go through customs. And as I was going through, a individual in front of me who had a recognizable backpack, it kind of stood out bright to me and stuff. And he had the kind of long hair, like long blonde hair, something like that.
This is somebody who's in line with you.
Yeah, he's right in front of me. We're all walking through customs at this spot. Like, we got to go through customs before you can transfer to the next plane and do this and all that stuff. I went through customs once. My bag was, given back to me on the plane. Then I had to transfer one more time and go through customs again. And I was, holding my backpack. Dude right in front of me got pulled by customs. They were like, you, and pulled him. And they were like, next. And I had to walk through the gate. And they were like, keep on going. All right, thank you. And the person right behind me, they're like, next. And they pulled him. And they were like, go. No, we're taking you. And so the person in front of me and the person behind me got pulled by customs. And they took him to the room and this and that. I'm walking up. My plane that I had to catch was about to leave. And I walked over to my flight line guy who was grabbing luggage, and he was like, yo, you going here? And I was like, yep. And he was like, you better get running. go here, go here, go there, or you're gonna miss your plane. Here, and he had like the shirt on that said my flight line, and gave him the luggage. It's like, cool, thanks, man. I get back to my destination, my plane lands, everybody's bags come down and stuff like that. Everybody's bag except for mine. My bag is not on the carousel. It's not rolling around and stuff. I'm waiting around, it never comes and stuff. I'm finally like, oh, my bag's not here. But the one bag I did see, I denoted, was that dude in front of me. The guy that got pulled by customs, he was not there, though. His bag was just rolling around the carousel. And I was like, oh, damn, he got held up in customs.
Damn.
His bag made it, but he didn't. He missed that plane and stuff. And it was a rush for me. I barely made my gate. And so then I go to the flight line, and they're like, I don't know what happened to your bag. I'm like, no, you lost my bag. It's not here, and this and that. And they're like, and they're trying to define it and saying all these things. Then I come back, I get an email, some bullshit and stuff. I come back. They finally find out that I came from out of country, and they're like, oh, wait, you went through customs? Oh, well, it had to be customs. They hold up bags sometimes, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I know it wasn't customs because I gave my bag to your flight line person.
Well, and the dude in front and behind me.
Yeah, and if it would have gotten held up in customs, you would have already said something because I was trying to smuggle shit in my bag, and you would have a whole different situation right now. Like, I didn't, bring that up, but I was like, I already know my bag's not a problem. Well, finally, I had to come back the next morning because they only attend the desk like for 3 hours a day, once a day. So I had to come back the next morning. When I finally came there, my bag was sitting down in the locker just waiting and stuff. And I went up and grabbed the lady. They finally walked me down after I got kind of aggravated and pissed off about how they were lying to me and bullshit like that.
Yeah.
When the lady finally walked me down there, she goes, oh, that came in last night.
What?
It was just on the next plane. They just accidentally threw it on the wrong. Like, it came on the airlane.
So, like, 2 hours later, you could have
it
gotten
was
your...
like 2 hours later, but I couldn't get it for a day. But they tried to blame it on customs, and that's where I was getting at. And I was like, I very much know it was not customs because I was smuggling things into the U.S. in my bag in customs. That would have been a problem. And I walked through
Like,
customs.
did my bag get arrested?
I watched the guy in front of me get stopped and pulled by customs, and his bag made it. He didn't. His bag made it, though. So it's like, it was not a customs problem. It was your airline problem.
So you're not accustomed to that happening to you too often?
Yeah, so I mean, so far customs is pretty cool with me.
So, Ron, have you ever been out of the country?
Yeah, man. So actually, this is funny. So the speaking of customs and things, I once flew into Mexico with a knife in my pocket.
Nice.
Like leaving the country.
Pre or post 9/11?
Post 9/11, definitely. But yeah, like I flew with like I'm always wearing my dickie shorts. You fucking guys know me and shit. Like I had this fucking like
We know you?
hunting
He's
knife.
a dicky
yeah.
guy.
You know me. Yeah,
Dicky guy.
fuck off. Yeah, I'm a dick. I know. Anyway, so I was on the plane with a knife. Like I went
And
through the whole
you
thing.
didn't take advantage of that?
Well,
It's
Did they give you a
9/11.
first class just by
What's he gonna
chance?
do?
they probably should have. So here's where the problem was. I flew into Mexico with a knife on the airplane. Like you kind of forgot it was there. You guys know how often I change my shorts. Not
Gross.
often.
I do not know that.
Not often. You should know. I only own one pair of these.
Wow.
So anyway, I spend a week in Mexico, in like Puerto Vallarta and bullshit or whatever, and fly back. By that time, I'd actually changed my shorts,
Weird.
swimming trunks, and all that shit. At that point, these shorts that like I did not know the knife was in, were in my duffel bag. That's when I get caught up in Mexican security going back to America. Like that's
Christ.
when they noticed that the knife was there.
Like, wait, buddy,
Yeah.
you're trying to hide a knife on our plane?
So they seized my buck knife in the Mexican airport, flying back here. Well, yeah, that's the only run-in I've had with like
So-
flight problems and customs and bullshit.
So I took what was it? 2, 3, 4 flights to get to where I needed to go in Ecuador a couple years ago. And so my first flight was from Sacramento, which is only like 4 hours away from my hometown, from Sacramento to LA, and then from LA to Lima, Peru. And so I got on the plane on both of these flights and flew all the way to Lima, Peru. And I go through customs in Lima, and as I pass my cargo through their little scanner, they're like, "Oh, no, we got to pull you aside." Mind you, at this point, my Spanish is kind of like, I understand Spanish pretty well, but it was still like kind of hard, especially because people speak really quickly. And so this guy, blah, 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 taqueras. He kept saying the word taqueras, and he wouldn't let me go forward. So I was like, taqueras, like, let me look back at okay, taqueras are scissors. And I was like, yeah, bro, you're tripping, essentially is what I told him. I was like, there's no scissors in my bag. I made sure to leave all my knives, like anything that I could use as a self-defense weapon. I left all of that shit at home for the simple sake that I didn't want to get hassled by you fucks. And he's like, no, you've got scissors, open your shit up. And so I opened my bag up, and at the top of my bag is a blue travel bag with my bathroom stuff in it. And as soon as I see the bag, I'm like, oh, right, I accidentally brought my beard scissors with me. And so I pull my scissors out, and I'm like, you're right, I'm sorry. And I hand him the scissors, and I'm like, so what room are we going to go to? Like, where are you guys going to strip search me, cavity search me, and stuff like that? Like, where are we going? Like, how's this going to happen? And he's like, no, like, you gave me your scissors, like, fuck off. And so I fuck off, and I get on my next flight, and this is like 2-3 hours later. I'm on my next flight, and I'm flying from Lima, Peru to Quito, Ecuador. And as I'm landing in Quito, I get out and I go through customs again. They're like, yeah, you're good to go. And that's when I realized, like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Like, I went through customs in Sacramento. I went through customs in LA. And both of those customs let me just get on the fucking plane. Mind you, this was a carry-on backpack. And then it occurred to me, it was like, wait, Lima, Peru, the place that we as Americans see as like the most degenerative place on the earth, like we see South America as like a piece of shit. Lima, Peru cut this pair of scissors that Sacramento, LAX, both of these fucking places didn't catch. And it occurred to me, I was like none of this 9/11 bullshit is actually helping. Like all these restrictions and shit like that. Thank you, Ron. Because like I literally got through customs in California with scissors on my plane, but Lima fucking Peru was like, nah, bro. Like you can't even get into our country without taking those scissors out of your bag.
What we have is what's called security theater. It's a
That's
lot of
basically
theater
what it is.
to make us seem like we're
You know how many terrorists the TSA has caught?
none.
None. Do you know how many thefts have been committed by the TSA?
Tons.
I mean, about like 3 years ago, it was something like 6,000 criminal cases of it. And so it's like,
TSA stole my knife. Mexican TSA. Jesus.
yo, it's a foreign country. You're not going to get your knife back. Plus,
I'm not worried
it's
about
probably some like kid's gift by now.
it.
Yeah. But it's just,
it's just in like a weird little like locker somewhere where it'll never see the light of day. That it's just
I
like
don't
this is
believe that
all
for
the
a minute.
stuff we confiscated. They have better knives.
They're gonna throw it in a cenote.
I'm just glad the blood was still on it.
Someone else's fingerprints now.
whose blood was it?
Ask my bag.
Uh,
Weird reference, never mind.
Shawn?
Well, do we have anything else for the podcast?
I could talk about how pissed off I've been lately, but that's like kind of... That's
Talk
typical.
about it, Loren.
Well, it's like...
I know it's been a hard time lately.
I'm going to say it like this.
It's like the beginning of an
If you're the kind of
R&B
person
song.
that asks how to improve your life from somebody who wants to give you advice, and then you don't take their advice, and you can continue doing what you're going to do anyway, I hope you understand that makes you a fucking piece of shit. A big old piece of shit. And I don't mean that mercifully. I mean to say that, like, if you take time out of other people's day to ask them questions on how you can improve your life, especially if you are in a front...
Wait, were you talking about me?
No.
This is about my... I'm sorry.
If you take time out of if you take time out of somebody else's day to explain to them why you're frustrated and why things are going wrong for you, and it sounds like you want advice, but you don't, it makes you a piece of shit. It genuinely makes you a piece of shit. Like, people are only out here trying to give you sympathy and empathy and trying to give you advice, trying to improve your life, because we all know that there's no one bit of advice that can ever improve life. But if you spend so much time taking away from other people advice that you're not going to take, that makes you a big old piece of shit. And I'm going to go ahead and name names in this regard, right? Fuck Hobo Johnson.
Fuck Hobo Johnson.
Goddamn Hobo Johnson.
And band B for the week is going to
Hobo Johnson.
Hobo Johnson.
He need a bag of dicks.
Wait, this just in.
Hobo Johnson has just become the notorious band B for the week on the Black Sheep and Bad Apples, episode number 13. Hobo Johnson, you can go fuck yourself.
Hobo Johnson, we are we are live in the streets talking with people who've just come out of a Hobo Johnson concert. Mister, what do you think of the Hobo Johnson concert that you just came out of?
Oh, I can't wait to go home because that sucked.
Hell yeah! And you, sir, come here, sir. Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yes, sir.
So, what are your thoughts on the Hobo Johnson concert that you just participated in viewing?
That's all, sir.
And that's going to be your band B for the week from Black Sheep and Bad Apples. Hobo Johnson.
Hobo Johnson. Jesus Christ.
Tune in next week for the band B for the week with Black Sheep and Bad Apples.
Also, a special on how tuna takes away from porpoise people.
Weird. On purpose, I'm sure.
Also, check out Chernobyl Vodka.
Definitely wasn't occidental.
It's atomic.
Did you want to end this with another freestyle?
Yeah, let's do it. Fuck it.
Oh, God.
Joe, you're taking lead. Yeah, this song is about how much I hate my mom.
I love my mom.
This is about
Show
how much
your
I
mom
love
love,
my
baby.
mom.
Yeah.
Mama.
If I do this and actually make a song about that, she would force me to like send her the link, so I'm not gonna do this.
All right,
Yeah, I can't.
topic.
I can't do
take-
anything about my mom
it.
because she's like all about
My
that.
mom is the best in the world. You might even say she's a saint if she's a girl. And she's got a couple problems, but you know that she can solve them. She just gotta be dope. And she gives me hope. And you know that she give me... Go, Ron!
My mom's into a bunch of kink. She asked me to send her a link. I tell her shit does stink. Mama, you ain't getting that link.
Yeah.
Come on, Shawn, give it the mama.
Shawn Hill. Drop it like it's hot. You know, drop it like it's hot.
My mom crochets. She crochets everything. I seen her make her chicken.
See them make her shake it.
See her make a shake and croquet all day. You know that she ain't ever show up late. She got a... Steve, it's Steve. Yeah.
Hey. Give it a measure of 2. Hey. Wait for it.
Mommy. Mommy. She told me to clean my room when my shit got sloppy. That's all I got.
It's hard to find words that rhyme with mom.
Yeah, here we go now. You know that my mama.
Words that just rhyme with mom.
Oh, okay. One sec.
Besides Dom, but
Here we
I
go.
don't want to.
Give me the drums. She got the beats, and you know she is all that she ain't. My mom is such a dope bitch. You know that she is a saint. Yeah, she raised me right. She raised me, and my twin brother, all night. Every single night, actually, for like 18 years or something in the tree. And she is cool.
Yeah.
My mom is cool. Thank you guys for being with us. I'm your co-host tonight with Black Sheep and Bad Apples. We've been here with our resident storyteller, Joe.
John Cusack killed a man once.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. And our interim intern, Mr. Ron Baca.
Oh fuck!
You've heard
It might
our
have been a woman. I don't know.
you heard our special guest appearance by Mr. Stephen Pagan. Give us a holler, Steve. He hollered. I would like to thank Shawn, who is our tonight's host, and also the owner and proprietor of Fourth Corner Productions. Thank you for having us.
Oh, yeah.
This has been Black Sheep and Bad Apples. Hope you guys had a good time, because I know we did. Good night. Yeah. 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 Yep. 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 Yeah. Black Sheep and Bad Apples.
Strobe light.
Thank you for listening. And this has been another episode of Black Sheep and Bad Apples.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.